just have to not buy. My wife showed me one time how many canned sodas I was going through during the Cowboy game. And man, when I tell you, at my peak, it was almost a 24. You know, anywhere between 12, 10 to 12, and I'm a grown man, so drinking soda is like 2
right. Yeah, it's like
and then you put one down, just grab another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, do you realize how much this crap you drinking? I'm like, I ain't drinking that much. What you talking about?
Right, we don't even know. Like I would go through a gallon, one of them half gallon of juices in a day.
Exactly, and that's the shameful part about it, because you just get it from your local Kroger or Walmart. That's usually where I buy mine. And you put it in the refrigerator and like,
this gonna last me the
It is.
And then you look up Tuesday and
it's gone.
It's gone. You like me, you in that tapping the bottom. Trying to tap the bottom.
Exactly. I usually just sit it on his head and just let all the remnants drop down.
Oh man, I'm going around the house accusing people of drinking it.
Who don't drink up the pineapple?
It was bad. It was bad.
I seen you with a cup earlier. You keep your dirty hands off of it.
Russell, it's like, how many cups did you have today?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. When I tried to wean myself off caffeine, the reason I asked about withdrawals, I went through caffeine withdrawals.
Yes.
I was off from work one day and I had just decided, you know what, I was drinking, and I was probably drinking about 2 gallons of tea a day.
Oh yeah.
And that ain't healthy on no party.
Was it sweet tea? Sweet tea?
No, I found a sugar-free tea I like, so I cut the sugar out of it.
Right.
But I just
sugar.
You just wanted the caffeine.
I realized I was a caffeine head when I was drinking soda, and I would put water in the soda can just to get another boost of caffeine.
Oh, that's a whole. See, this is an intervention
right now. This is an intervention. It is.
I realized I was at my low point when I start pouring water in my Sprite bottles.
Exactly, man. And I don't buy the juice no more, man, because I can't resist it.
I had blurred vision. I had mood swings.
Yeah.
I had some real severe headaches.
Yep.
I had light sensitivity. So thank goodness we live in a time where we have the internet. So I jumped on Google and I just put in my symptoms, and they said you were overcoming the caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
And I was drinking Diet Cokes at the time, so I thought, where's Diet Coke?
Oh yeah, them diet drinks are the worst.
Yeah, they are. They're the worst.
In there, and that sorbitol, them chemicals that do all that.
You know, and so when you realize what you're facing, no matter what the addiction is, when you realize what you're facing, you got to ask yourself, man, is this going to cost me? And if it's going to cost me, am I willing to pay the price for this?
Exactly.
And I just would love to be able to talk to some of these athletes and say to them, listen, man, this is your last year of your contract. You're in line for the contract, been the pinnacle of your career. Can we just put weed smoking on hold?
Right.
Until we finish playing. After you finish playing, nobody drug tested.
You know.
And also, I think if they ever did that, once they stop playing, they never would touch again because they'd be a little bit more mature.
Exactly.
But
They'll be a family man. They'll be worried about the long-term effects. You wouldn't want your kid doing it, so you're not going to do it in front of your kid.
The other part of it, though, is that they got to find something to replace the habit. You know, that's the hardest part, I think, with a lot of addictions, is that you get so used to doing that thing. It becomes part of your routine and your habit. When you take it away, what fills that space?
So for the smoker, what takes a smoke break?
Exactly, a smoke break, or somebody. If you're a social smoker or drinker, like like we were saying, you know, if I don't have it at the house, then I don't really need a drink. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when I go out, it just seems natural for me to do that, you know, in that space, you know, especially at a sporting event or a social gathering with friends. I need it in my hand. Right. If I don't, something feels weird, you know. So how do you replace that empty?
And see,
feeling?
that's kind of the main point that I wanted to get at, is that obviously the alcohol addictions that can damage and destroy your liver and give you cirrhosis, the smoking that can cause lung cancer and cause all these other problems with you. Obviously, those have more of a lot of times immediate effect. They can. But my question is, and I guess it's more so of a philosophical question than really trying to get at the heart of anything, is can you ever really get rid of addictions? Because even when you have bad addiction,
you just manage them.
You have to replace that addiction, like you said, with another addiction to kind of get you over that old one.
Right. You try to make it, I think, something that's a healthy replacement for it, something that would be positive,
right,
and benefit for you. But no, I don't think you ever. I think if you go to any AAA meeting, you know, most of them still, even though they've been sober 15 years, will call themselves an alcoholic,
right,
you know, because that never really goes away. You know, like D-Ray just said, you manage it, you find other ways, hopefully positive, to take the place of that negative addiction, but it never really goes away. You always have, I think, in some form, maybe not strong urges, but urges too. You're always prone, if you get into a situation where you're around it abundantly, that you could fall back into doing it and relapsing to that. It takes a long time to build up the will to resist it.
Okay, so let's do this then, because I figure we're probably near the end of our cast.
Yeah, I was just about to say we got to get out of here because Braun closed at we got to make sure.
so these next few minutes and actually a few seconds.
Do me a favor. Ooh.